Hi, I'm Rob Lennon for Interact, and I'm here to introduce the November Interact show. On this week's show, we're going to have an interview with Kathy Turner. We're also going to have some records from the fall sporting events. We're going to have clips from the homecoming parade. We're going to have a story on the balloons that were released during the homecoming football game and where they went to. We're going to have an interview with Manley Preston from the First National Bank of Canton. We're going to have some clips from Nerd Day at School. We're going to have an interview with Stu Streeter. We're going to have a story on the Principal Senate and what exactly it is and does. We're going to have a comedy feature and a music video. Enjoy the show.
Hi, my name is Mikkel Hilfiger. I'm here interviewing Mrs. Turner. How long have you held your current position?
Since 1969, and at that time Mr. Keeler was the superintendent of schools.
How did you become interested in this field?
I took the business ed courses in high school.
What training, experience, education was necessary?
I just had high school courses, office practice, shorthand, typing, bookkeeping.
Since you are employed in a rural community, what attracted you to this area?
I've been here all my life. I went to Canton schools, grades 1 through 12.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of living here?
I'm sure you could make more money in a city and there'd be more places to go and things to do, but on the other hand, it would be more expensive. And I think the advantage of a small town is that we're like a big family. People are friendly and they care, and like the kids I graduated with school with, some work in the factories here, they're farmers, they went to college, some are teachers are at elementary school and some are high school teachers. Then you get to see their kids grow up, and if good things happen, you're happy for them. If there's a death, you're sad with them. It's a more family-type community.
What benefits do you feel your occupation contributes to the community?
The Board of Education, just one example, the Board of Education hires a lot of people for this, that work in the school district. And I type the letters and keep the personnel files and all the forms on the employees, the contracts and certificates. And just like the board approved the band trip to Williamsburg next April. And I typed that on the agenda and ran copies for the board so they could look at the request form. And it's just the behind-the-scenes type role. But the kids and adults in the Canton community benefit.
What do you like best about and least about your job?
I like it best because it's different every day. There's different adults, students, and working in the school would make it more different every day because we have like 700 people in the building. And there's routine also. I like that. I like it because there's a lot of work and I'm busy. I wouldn't want to be bored with nothing to do. Least I like is, say yesterday the computer wouldn't do what I want it to do. That makes you feel frustrated. And also with your work you have to prioritize it, do certain things that have to be out today or tomorrow, start working on that project. And some things slide that don't have to go out to the public. And then sooner or later you have to do those things.
What advice would you give to someone who might be interested in having this profession?
I would say to practice three things in everyone's profession or life, to practice getting along with other people, because in an office-type situation or factory or any place, you're there 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, which is more than you are with your families. And you need to practice giving and taking and having patience with people. And like a lot of kids will come in and say, oh, you have music. But this one radio music is piped into the administrative office, the superintendent's office, the business office, and the high school office. And some like country music, some like office-type music, and some like rock and roll. And so we listen to one station, and everybody has to give and take that way. That's just one example. And also to practice secretary skills like typing. If you want, instead of writing a letter, type it, or shorthand, take notes in school with practicing your shorthand or a telephone conversation. Just live it.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
And now something completely different. The comedy class.
Good evening, class. Where is everybody?
They're not here.
I can tell they're not here. Where are they?
I think they're out with the flu.
The flu? Yes, well, maybe they should eat some more fresh fruit. Fresh fruit. Right. Last week, I was teaching you how to defend yourself from fresh fruit. And I think, well, we'll pick it up again tonight.
We did fresh fruit last week, and you said we weren't going to do it this week.
What? Fresh fruit isn't good enough for you? Too high and money to do fresh fruit, huh?
Well, why don't we try something different? Yeah, like a pointed stick.
Pointed stick, huh? You want to do a pointed stick? Well, let me tell you, if some homeless guy let's see something you would have ever I don't want you balling to me, pal. Right. So this week we're gonna do the passion fruit. Now, when someone lunches you with a passion fruit,
We've done the passion fruit.
we have.
Yes. In oranges, in grapes, in grapefruit, segmented and whole, in raisins, in apples, pears, pineapples.
Cherry.
Yeah.
Black and red.
Yes.
Banana. We haven't done bananas yet, have we?
No.
Right. Now, when someone lunges at you with a banana, first thing you do is force them to drop the banana. Then you eat the banana, thus disarming and making them helpless.
But what if we've got a whole bunch?
Shut up!
Or a pointed stick?
Right, you, come at me with this. No, hold it above your head, scream! Right, now, come at me, come at me! Right, and now you eat the banana. Class dismissed.
Hello, I'm Tim Oliver, and I'm with Interact, and we're interviewing Mr. Stu Streeter. Mr. Streeter, how long have you held your current position?
Well, Tim, we've been here about 17 years, give or take a year. We started out doing things in the old intermediate school, and when they built the elementary school, we moved the entire operation down here. And from this location, as you know, we service both the elementary school and the high school.
How did you become interested in this field?
Well, actually, I sort of gravitated into this field from experience I've had in broadcasting. I worked in radio when I got out of the Navy and moved from radio into television, did a little production, did on the air, started out as a DJ, and I did news. And then when I got interested in cable television, I came back to my old hometown of Canton, Pennsylvania, and found, lo and behold, they were going to open up a school district, and they needed somebody to do some audiovisual. So I applied for the job, and here I am.
Ah. What education was necessary for you to do this?
Well, basically, in my case, it was on-the-job experience. There are people who will go through a four-year college and come out with a journalism or a broadcast technical degree, but in my case, this was sufficient training, and I had a lot of experience that I drew upon in broadcasting, and that's what it is, right here.
What benefits do you feel your occupation contributes to Canton?
Well, as you look around the room, if you look at the top television screen, you can see one benefit right now, and that's the Channel 10 message repeating system, which goes out into the community and presents public service messages to the community and the school. We've done a lot of good with television programs that we put out, like we're getting ready for one as we speak now and record this. There's an elementary program, which is kind of the forerunner of Interact, where the kids put on a live show. This goes out into the community on Channel 10, and the folks can see a little bit of what the kids are doing. I like to think that my job here helps in many ways. We keep the audiovisual gear repaired and going, which helps, of course, educational processes.
What do you like best about your job?
Oh, I think the room that we're standing in right now. I like to play with equipment. And as you look around here, there's plenty of equipment to play with. We use this camcorder, and over here to the other side, we've got audio production consoles, and equipment that we can produce audio backgrounds and things, and it's basically doing my best with the equipment that we have, and when we don't have it, we improvise.
What advice would you like to give to someone who is interested in pursuing a profession like yours?
Well, I would say probably the best thing to do is to get in on the ground floor. If you have enough stage presence, you're not afraid to get behind the microphone and talk to somebody, go to your local radio station and practice, do a little DJ work, get some of the basics. A good education never hurt. If you're into news, take journalism courses. If you want to get in front of the camera, do a little work in that area. But what can I say? Practice makes perfect.
Okay, thanks.
What you see now are the CHS Marching Warriors performing at the halftime show during homecoming. Later in their performance, you'll see several balloons released. These balloons had names of CHS students on them, and they were discovered recently in Canada near Montreal. Some school-age students wrote back to our students telling them they had found the balloons and would like to communicate with them. Mrs. Barrett translated the letters for the students. Now we'll let you listen to the CHS Marching Warriors.
There they go.
Smith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome our 1986 homecoming queen, Miss Stephanie Singer. Her escort today is Mr. Keith Jennings. And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the 1987 homecoming queen for Canton High School. She is Miss Betsy Cribbridge.
Hi, I'm Tina Johnson, and today I'm interviewing Manley Preston, the president of the First National Bank of Canton. How long have you held your current position?
Oh, Tina, I've been with the bank a long time. I think I started here in 1950. That'd make it about, what, 37 years, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did you become interested in this field?
In banking, I was always interested in the community and in what goes on in the community. And we had a chance here in the bank. There was an opening to file checks, and I was looking for something different to do, so I did it. And one thing led to another.
Yeah. What training, experience, education was necessary, and if appropriate, where was it obtained?
I didn't really need any special training for the job that I did. My first job was just to take checks out of here and put them in here. But my background was I have an engineering degree in industrial engineering, and I worked in California for a while. And when I came back, I started in the bank, just moving checks from here to here. But it was really useful, the background I did have. So any background that anyone has in education, whether it's engineering, mathematics, history, it would be good in a banking profession because it deals with people.
Mm-hmm. Since you are employed in a rural community, what attracted you to this area, and what are the advantages or disadvantages of living here?
Well, I guess the big attraction was because I was born here. I grew up here, and I've lived here except for about 3 years all my life. The big advantages are I can walk to work, go home to lunch in 5 minutes. The schools are good. The community is friendly, and it's a safe place to live, and it's a great place to bring up children.
What benefits do you feel your occupation contributes to the community?
Banking is one of the biggest community-involving industries there is because we affect industry, we affect the businesses, we have interaction with all the people in the community, and as the community goes, so goes the bank, and it works both ways. If you have a good, strong bank, it helps the community thrive and prosper. So we affect the community, and the community affects us, and that's why we specialize in this Canton area. This is the only area that we serve is the Canton and the towns around Canton. We go out about 20 miles, but that's the only people we worry about. We're a specialist.
What do you like best or least about your job?
I like best I can know what's going on, and I get a feeling of satisfaction from seeing a young person comes in for their first loan, and it might be for an old car. To see them grow and see them prosper and maybe start their own business and get married, it's really a joy to be involved with that kind of things. That's the worst thing I see. Once in a while we'll have to say no to someone that wants something that he just can't pay back, or you kind of feel like a wet blanket sometimes. People come in with a good idea that they're not ready to put in practice, and we have to suggest maybe they wait a while or study it, and then we'll have to say no occasionally. I always hate that.
What advice would you give someone who might be interested in pursuing a profession like yours?
I would say like people, like to get involved with people, and never stop learning. It doesn't really matter what you learn or where you learn it. You can learn it talking to your neighbors, you can learn it at the football game, you can learn it in school, you can learn it in college, you can learn it in a job. Just never stop learning and always be curious.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Tina. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, me too.
Here with Mr. Keith Jennings, and he's a taxidermist, and he's going to talk about his process that he uses.
Basically, when a customer brings in a specimen, we look it over for any scars and hair missing and feathers that are gone and scales missing on fish and anything that needs to be repaired. And they go from there. The deer hides have to be fleshed down, salted, and I tan them myself with a product that costs about $40 a gallon. And bear hides and other hides I send out to a tannery to have tanned. And everything is mounted over a mannequin. I've got a small dough form here. This is what the actual form looks like that the hide goes over. You can see that. And the birds are the same way. It's a urethane type foam. And getting everything fleshed down is very important.
Now, they didn't always have styrofoam. What did they use before?
Well, as far as I know, they had plastic parrots, maybe newspapers or sawdust, whatever they could find, I guess. And eventually they crack and fall to pieces. And when I do get a head done for a customer, I try to tell them not to hang it near a fireplace or a heater, because that's not too good for them. It's quite a process to go through the different steps. You can shine on some of them heads there, and I'll try to. After you have the skin all tanned, you have to mix up some paste and glue the hide onto the mannequin. And you have to sew up the seam. It's usually in the back part of the body. And I can show you here. And about here is where we make the cut. I usually go about this far instead of going all the way down. That saves a lot of sewing. Plus it makes a nicer seam right here for the hair to lay down. And you have to cut around each horn. And I usually take a screwdriver to pry that loose around there. That makes all the hide come off instead of staying on the horn part. And before that hide gets dry, you have to, I take some pink gel from a beauty parlor and brush it on the hide to make it lay down where you want. I usually put some screen over this part to hold in the detail where the paste is, and brush it out real well. And then I use an air sprayer and compressor to touch up around the eye, white inside the ears, and black on the nose, and a little bit of brown around the eye also. And before it's finished, I'll put some linseed oil and paint thinner on the horns to make them look a little bit better. Most of them go on a panel, which these aren't on yet. These aren't quite finished in here yet, but they're pretty close.
You have to be quite an artist then.
You have to have a lot of time, yep.
How much time does it take to do one of these deer heads? On average?
If you started by the time that the customer brought it in, you probably got 25 hours from the time you start getting the hide off the deer and working on the mannequin. And fleshing the hide and tanning is quite the process. Mounting time usually only takes about 4 or 5 hours. And this bear over here, we're working on the base here. Usually like to make them with like a habitat scene, make them look more natural, so just put them on a piece of plywood or anything like that. And I try to ask the customer how he'd like it the best. And usually it's my own creation, I guess.
Now, does that bear, made the same way the deers are, you know, with the styrofoam?
Right. Urethane foam is what it's made of. And it's all done by measuring when they bring in the hide. And I give them a choice of poses to look at. And it depends on how he wants it and what size form I can get to fit it.
How do you keep those clean? I mean, after someone gets one home, it's going to get dusty and dirty. How do you keep them?
I recommend using a shop vac. Right here's a, happen to have one here. This works pretty well to clean them. And just take that and just go over it like that. And that'll get most of the dust off them. And comb them out pretty good after that. It'll make them look pretty well. On the deer heads, I have a paper on the back of the panel that I put on that tells how to care for those. It's important where you hang them, how bad they're going to get. Now for small birds, if I can, I like to put them in a glass case, like a woodcock, and that'll protect them from any little kids or pets or something getting at them. Tanned caribou hide, and that's what they look like before they're put over the actual mannequin. You can see that's quite thick there. And it's all been fleshed and salted, and it's been sent to a tannery. And that's how they are when they come back. Before you can actually work with it, you have to really soak it in some lukewarm water. Maybe a little borax in there. And the ears have to be turned inside out, and ear liners put inside them. There's a fox that's going to be mounted. They're not too bad to flesh, really. There's not too much flesh on them. And that's also sent out and tanned.
All right, when you stuff the fox's legs, do you use, what do you use inside of them to make sure they're stiff like that?
Well, see, the whole form is one piece of that urethane foam.
Right.
It's all molded with from the actual animal. The legs will be connected right to the body. And it's all one form, the pieces. So it'll just slip right inside whatever pose you want, you know.
Like it's kind of like a coat on top of the mannequin.
Well, it's glued on, plus it's sewed on. If you want to shut that off for a second, I'll get the actual... Here's the actual form for that fox hide. He's going to be laying down type pose. And The head isn't attached to it yet. And again, this is that urethane foam. And usually have to soak these up before you can put them on. And for this type of a position, I made a dorsal cut on the fox so it's easier to get it on the foam. And I'll give you a rough idea how it would look on there. Take a little while. When he's done, he'll be laying down with his tail out like that. There's something like that, I guess.
Well, how do you keep their mouth open? Because I look around the room and I see a lot of animals with their mouth open.
Well, they're all artificial plastic jaw sets that have to be cut into the form. This has got a closed mouth, but the open mouth, it'd be like this, and you'd have to cut out this foam, and then you'd hot glue a jaw set of the actual animal into it. And the teeth, you can tell by looking at this one here, they're plastic, and usually have to paint them a little bit. The real teeth, they would crack, turn yellow, and probably even fall out.
So you don't have to brush your teeth in the morning?
No. And you're asking about what goes inside the ears. Here's the ear liners. Same thing for deer. It's a smaller example. You shove up inside and hold the ears in their position. That's where the cartilage is removed, and this is what you're replacing them with. And that's what goes inside those. The birds, as far as cleaning those, just an ordinary feather duster works pretty well to brush them with the feathers, and just a little bit of Windex on the eyes.
On the birds, for the wings, do you use the original wings?
Yep. There's wire for an open wing mount. You have to put a wire up through the wing to hold its position, and they all have to be wrapped with string until they're dry, which takes about 2 weeks before you dare take that string off them. And once they're dry, the feathers won't ever move again. And then it's just a matter of putting them on the type of base you want.
How hard is it to do a fish? They fairly size.
Well, hardest part about fish is getting the color back, because all the fish fade as soon as they're taken out of the water. And I save a lot of pictures from magazines, and a picture of the actual fish is about the best thing I've got. And it's all done with an air sprayer.
You paint the look of the fish? The actual color?
Yeah. I have about probably 60 different colors I use. And then the last thing you do is put a gloss type sealer over top of them. Get a little bit of a shine.
How about for small animals? How hard is it for them?
Well, normally small animals I'll send them to a place and get them freeze dried. And that means pulling all the moisture out of the actual specimen, and at the same time drying it so it'll hold its pose, and it's done in a special machine. Now, something like a turkey head will take about 7 or 8 weeks inside that chamber, and when I get those back, I have to paint those according to the time of year they got the bird.
What kind of training did you have to have in order to become a taxidermist?
Well, we can go to, they have special schools which you can go to, and they're quite expensive. I know a guy who went to one in Wisconsin, and I just basically started doing it for myself, and as a hobby, like, and kept doing more and more of it, I guess. Finally decided I wanted to see how good I was, so I went down and took the test. And they want 5 different mounts that you've done. Deer head, a fish, a small animal, game bird, and a waterfowl. They'll look at those, and about 2 weeks later you'll find out if you passed or not. And there's a written part also that day.
How did you become interested in this? It's not something everybody would want to do.
Well, I've always loved to hunt and fish, I guess. And after I did get something, I just couldn't stand to throw it away, I guess. And I did have one fish mounted, which got me interested in it, I guess. And I was quite little.
Well, now, you said you can use a shop vac on these larger animals, but something that's smaller, like a bird, or maybe a woodchuck or a red fox or something like that, a lot of people put them in cases. Can you make those cases for them?
Usually I'll buy those because it takes quite a bit of time to make them. But birds, a feather duster works pretty good. Just brush them with the feathers. And on the eyes, just use some Windex, wipe those off. And comb them out will help them look pretty good.
And there's lots of different kinds of animals in here. Are there any animals that you're not allowed to mount or stuff?
Yeah. There's quite a few protected animals. In Pennsylvania, you can't do bobcat and otter. And you can't do any hawks or owls. You can with a permit for like a school, but they're pretty hard to get. Roadkills, I won't usually touch those either, because they don't allow you to take those. And,
well, thank you very much. We really enjoyed your tour through taxidermy. Do you have any questions, Mike?
Yeah, I have a question. Say when you get this particular an otter and a part of its fur has been shot off, do you replace that with any particular bird or anything, or you just make your own?
if there's a spot missing, like say right here, you just make 2 cuts on each side of it in the shape of a football, and just sew them right back together and it'll fit right together again. But if there's a big spot missing, I won't accept anything that's shot up too bad or spoiled or anything like that, because chances are it won't turn out as a mount. And you got to have the good frozen specimens or freshly killed.
Travis Wilcox out here to tell you about varsity football team. The Canton Warriors varsity football team, President Coach Miller Moyer, with his first undefeated, untied season by defeating the tough Troy Trojans 15-14. As an added big bonus, the boys also brought the old shoe back to Canton. Look for the boys to take to the field on November 21st as they enter district competition with Muncie.
Hi, I'm Ryan Morgan. I'm going to tell you about the CHS volleyball team. The Canton girls volleyball team captured the District 4 Class AA volleyball championship by winning matches with Elkland and Mansfield played in Wellsboro and a thrilling 3-game match with Wellsboro played in Troy. Coach Miss Ann Griffith took her team to Shippensburg Friday to interstate competition. They won the first round and lost the second. Canton JV volleyball team completes perfect season. The Canton Junior Varsity volleyball team, coached by Mrs. Vicki Richards, has completed the 1987 season undefeated. The girls not only won all of their 12 matches this year, but 40 of the 42 total matches. High scores for the year were Pam Steiner, 98 points, Barb Smith, 87 points, Robin Bentley, 85 points, and Jen Ward, 79 points. Congratulations to the Canton JV girls and Coach Vicki Richards. Other school news is the Principal Senate is a newly formed student body which is made up of presidents of classes and junior and senior high student council officers. Ideas and opinions are given about roles in school activities so we can have a say in our school. For example, we can give ideas about dress code, spirit week, and contests that involve warrior spirit. Also, the school play will be presented this Friday in the auditorium.
You see here Janice Looney as she was speaking at the Veterans Day observance. It was held last week at the CHS Nellie Black Westgate Auditorium. Mr. Parfit organized this program in cooperation with Post 714, the CHS band under the direction of Mr. James Dogert, and students Janice Looney, Gary Gleckner, Tina McMurray, Jonathan Koenig, and Michelle Walters. The special guest speaker was Mr. William McNett. You'll see each of these people featured in just a few segments on this tape.
And fall too soon. If you suffer or if you fall in the defense of the liberties and the Constitution of his country. I quote this from Daniel Webster. From your day of birth until the day...
Picture of our life. You can put all kinds of things in there. It's a pleasure to be here with you. I always enjoy coming back to good old CHS. Shortly after the 9th...
From the solemn and serious observance of Veterans Day, we now have another observance that was recently held at CHS. This is Nerd Day, and there were several strange creatures roaming the halls. We're going to end our show and give the credits while you're watching what was happening at CHS on this day. The credits for the November show are the opening animation, Bill Rusk, overview of show, Rob Landon, interview with Mrs. Kathy Turner, Mikkel Hilfiger, sports report and school news, Travis Wilcox and Ryan Morgan, the interview with Mr. Manley Preston, Tina Johnson, interview with Stu Streeter, Tim Oliver, Comedy Factor was done by Shane Wilcox, Tim Oliver, and Rob Landon, interview with Keith Jennings on taxidermy was done by Mike Mockmer. The technical crew for this show was Eric Schrader, Mike Mockmer, Shane Wilcox, and Rob Landon. The producer-director of Interact is Mrs. Vicki Landon. Coming up on our December show will be interviews with the new teachers at CHS, an interview with Jenny Groover, the Tioga County Dairy Princess, and occupational interviews with Mr. Willard Hipple, Mrs. Janet Preston, Mr. James Arnold, and Judge Jeffrey Smith. Special thanks to everyone who helped us with our recent fundraiser. Interact promises not to have another fundraiser until the end of the decade. So long until the December show.